Hello everybody, we're here in Jim's kitchen, me and Anthony, John Clarke and Julia, who is, they both come to help me with some music, and we're just having a butty and
look, stage hat on.
Slimming, it's slimming.
And a custard, and we were talking about folk clubs and songwriting. Do you know, I was just thinking, Anthony, but it's something like you've got some very famous songs that you've written, and but how many? You know, some songs get to the top of the pile, sort of thing, in terms of popularity, and some songs don't. Have you got any of your songs that you're particularly fond of that maybe a lot of people haven't heard?
Oh yeah, hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Wow.
But you always like the one you're writing, don't you? And
yeah.
And then you think, and then maybe when you play it out for the first time and it doesn't make that much sense to an audience, you fall out with it a little bit. And rarely have I revisited those. But I do know if I write specific, I try to write specifically for the audience that's going to be listening, and you know when you've got one that's going to work.
But do you not find sometimes, and it's fate this, I think, I remember this song I'd done and I sang it and it just didn't go down well at all. And that was it.
Did you try it again?
Don't want it.
Was that in a temper?
So
yeah.
You fell out with it quickly.
But it was a good song, and had I sung it in different circumstances,
yeah,
on a different
audience, whatever.
You know.
Yeah.
When I wrote the Tuesday night karaoke song, I wrote it in Ireland, and I said to Julie, I'm going to play it. It was the first time I played it. It was Jim Schofield's club up in Language Bay. Better be careful what you say, Saddleworth. And I knew it was going to go down well. And it went down well because I'd worked so hard on it. And I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but I wanted to play it twice on the night because I liked that, but the audience didn't think it went down as well as I did. But over the years it changed. And
they develop, don't they?
Yeah.
Do you write songs, Julia?
I don't write songs, but I think I've got quite a good ear for what works and what doesn't work. So Anthony will do this, but I top and tail them. I always say top and tail them. So I'll say, no, not that word, no, that's not right. And then I wander around and I'll come back with something. So occasionally I'll stick a word. There's one song we do and it's in the wide blue yonder. And because that was all my line, I insist on singing that line really loud. Right. But no, I
wrote that line.
Always bombs.
And who's the best musician out of you two? It's a competition.
Yeah. I love Anthony. I've always loved his voice and his music, and because we're together such a lot, I do know his songs and I play the piano. But actually, sometimes when I'm playing piano, I'm just listening to Anthony, and I kind of almost forget. So I do prefer to. I do love his stuff.
Sometimes I'm playing. I'm never just listening to you. Yeah.
So when you were on with us at Buxton, you were on stage all the time. You played with him all the time.
Did, yeah.
Is that normal? Or
for many years, obviously, when the children were younger, Anthony would go off and you know what it's like going around the country doing the gigs. So obviously, I couldn't go. And then once they got old enough, I went to my first folk club, and I was quite interested with it. And then I found myself
just as a spectator.
Yeah, well, I'd drive Anthony and sort of help with the gear and stuff. And then I find myself on my legs just playing the chords, and someone said to me, well, why don't you play with him? And you'd always wanted me to, but
I wanted you just to play on your legs. And you play a piano.
But I'm not. I mean, I think that you and Anthony, you love being up there and getting it back. Yeah. I'm okay, but it's not like I'm not a big, I want to be out there.
Well, Melanie says I like showing off.
Well, possibly that's a cooler way of saying it, but more truthful, possibly.
You're kidding me, man.
But yeah, some people say I'm as happy to play or not to play. But sometimes there's gigs and we'll play together. Sometimes I'll just come on for a couple of. There's a couple of your songs that do sound really improved with the piano. But I'm just as happy to sit back and watch the whole show.
Well. I was just thinking when I was in folk club. Actually, I'm unusual because I started early. I went. I burned out like a flame.
Oh, did you?
And then in my early 20s, I just moved away from it. I just wasn't interested in folk music. I got a normal job, computer programming and all that, and did all my work and that. And it's only the last 10 years I've come back into folk music, really. But in those days, it would have been unheard of to have a piano player.
Yeah, get that. I think it's probably because now we've got these amazing keyboards that you get, electronic. They don't need tuning. You can put them, you can carry them in, stand them up. And I think that's probably made a difference.
I think as well, if bands now, they orchestrate their albums so closely, they want a bit of that on stage.
It's a pad. You have to use it as a pad.
The pad's the giveaway, isn't it?
Yeah. Just to give
I mean,
it
if you went back to the Ian Campbell folk group, you know, where the violins were the pads, weren't they?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people might disagree with that, but that gave the other musicians a nice sort of platform to do the slow ballads, and it sounded cool. But you can do that on a keyboard now.
And the other thing about keyboards, of course, you can transpose. So when I see Anthony putting his cap on somewhere, rather than thinking, oh no, it's an E flat now, I just think, oh, that's on 3, and I just put my which just makes it much easier.
Because the E flat's so easy on a guitar. So easy.
I know Jim's running this. We've got a lovely house. He's got a great house. He's got a house here, which we're in. Jim, just look over there from it. He's got a house here, and there's another house over there, and there's another one up above. So
with the folk club.
Are you back now?
Yeah, what we're going to have an exclusive fortnight here.
So we won't be playing.
Bob Dylan night.
You're welcome. Be very expensive tickets though.
Of course, I know.
Because we'll do it for a we'll do it for a cause. We'll do it for some reason, and we'll charge people loads of money.
So if you're not rich, if you're not rich, turn off now. We don't mean that.
When I know this is like cliche stuff, but what was your first ever song that you wrote?
I was 9.
9,
and I've used the black keys on the piano, and I only hit the black keys, and I only played one chord, and I still know all the words. It's not very long.
Go on.
I'm sitting ready, but you're not here. I'm sitting ready, but you're not here. Not here. Not here. I used to sing that.
Oh. Did it break your heart?
Oh, sad.
Who was it about?
I don't know.
Oh, what a romantic.
Well, my first song was called Rocker Mark. My sister Anne was going out with a Wigan rocker, you know, mods and rockers.
Motorbike. How old were you when you wrote that?
About 12.
Well, yours better be better than mine.
It is, it's got 3 years on yours. One lonely night, a motorbike was speeding down the road, and on that bike was Rocker Mike. Despair was in his soul.
Oh.
Well, don't I feel good about mine when I was 9? Sitting ready, but you're not here.
What's
Maybe Rocker Mike wasn't here.
You know, you're both tortured Catholic souls, really, aren't you?
Yes.
Catholics?
I know, but you were 9 and 14.
Don't be vulgar.
Oh, thank goodness the happiness ones come after that, then, eh?
Oh yeah, they got better. I try to write songs like it's some serious songs, but I write some funny songs like My Girlfriend is Paranormal, and
M61 revisited.
M61 revisited. But I know karaoke's a funny one.
What's the other one on that?
Straight Road.
That's it. That's a good song.
What's the one about going for the meal?
Going for the meal.
And you were eating a meal.
Can't remember.
Gina, that was Dylan.
No, it wasn't.
Oh yeah, people always mix me up.
No, it was Jim.
But we've been doing a couple of Dylan songs. We sang one on this page actually a couple of weeks ago, Tangled Up in Blue. So we're going to try and do a few more of them.
Yeah.
But,
in the coming weeks, and in the coming months, we'll do that.
Yes.
Yeah,
if that's all right with you.
Yeah. Oh, very much so. I'm looking forward to this. As long as my frail body will last another few years.
Keep eating sandwiches, you'll be all right.
So okay, I'm going to France soon. Melanie will feed me.
She'll feed you up.
She feeds me up. I spend 3 months of the year in France, and that's when I get fed up. Not fed up. I mean, fed up. But for people who don't know you, I mean, you're a big name in folk music. You are moderate then. But the All Weavers, for example, a group that are singing, they're really a northwest England folk group. Not 99%, but the vast majority of our bookings are in northwest. Occasionally one in Scotland, maybe Wales, Yorkshire, but nearly all northwest. Are you like that, or do you get around?
I don't play very much in the northwest. I think,
not at all.
I would do all the clubs when the clubs were there, but some of the clubs they're not there anymore. And
that's true.
I mean, it was. I think so. For me, I think that my career, if it is a career, was helped in 3 ways. when I started off, I got on telly pretty quick in Northern Ireland. And that was not because of anything I'd written, it was just because of circumstances and people that I had working for me. The second occasion, which I thought was really significant, was when Mike Harding was playing me on Radio 2. Because I would go along to a gig shortly after that, and there would be a batch of people who would come, not because they went to the folk club, but because they maybe heard something that you did. And I wrote the Gloria song around that time, and that was
Gloria,
going on.
yeah. Well, Gloria knows.
So Mike Harding and people on Merseyside, they were really great supporters for me. I used to do Thought for the Day on Radio Merseyside.
And Ron Cord, remember Tony Toy over there.
But I think in about 20 years ago, I fell in with the Bad Fairport Convention, and they did lift my profile because they were. I did the tour with them. And JC Bedford, she was my agent at the time, and she said, this won't make a massive difference to you. And she was very wise. She said, what it'll do is, when you go to a folk club, there'll be an extra group of people who come just because you did that. Yeah, and then you become friends with them, and then you build up your mailing list, and you grow in confidence. And even to this day, I still MC their big festival. Yeah. And so, you go out to 20,000 people for 3 days, and a batch of them become your mates.
Of course,
not your fans, they become your mates. Yeah. So they'll come and they'll support you in different parts of the country. We played the Half Moon in Putney, and I thought it would be, as my mate calls it, a furniture sale. But the place was bummed, and it was really nice to do, and the people were there from Fair.
And look, there's Costa now as well.
And I do the
whereabouts is that? In Costa del Sol?
Different places.
Different places. Yeah. But that's a new audience as well, really.
It was Harmony Voyages, and they've been really supportive of me because they put you on a cruise.
I've seen Pat Ryan.
We saw Pat.
Yeah,
Island.
Yes, he was there.
But that's Harmony Voyages.
In a group with Pat Ryan.
Yeah,
we know Pat Ryan.
Can you just tell me what you know? Your song, "The Broken Years." Mm-hmm. That's. When I first heard it, it was,
Yeah, I know, it does get you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Can you just tell us about that? Because there'll be people on here who don't know about that song.
There was an article in the Belfast Telegraph, which my grandmother used to read because she used to do the little crossword. She was a Brummie, so she used to call it the puzzle. And she said, well, look at this here, and it was, people had been asked how the Troubles had affected them, and there was nothing about atrocities, and I know that affected people, or bombings, or people losing relatives. It was how the society that people perhaps in other countries would expect as normal, why that had been deprived, they'd been deprived of it. And I picked out some characters in it and put them in the song "The Broken Years" because the verse where Connor's late for school, he's out of breath ringing the double. And to get his education, he had to take the long way around. He took the long way around to school for 5 years, Jim, because on the first day he went up, some kids had taken his bag and thrown it on the top of a bus stop. They weren't violent towards him, they didn't hurt him, but the mother interpreted it as danger because it was in a difficult situation in the city. So for years that kid was affected by having to walk the long way to school because his mother didn't want him to go up the street where something had happened once. And about having to have special arrangements if you wanted to marry somebody outside your own faith. And that was really essentially, and it was a great honour for me because I recorded that song with a choir of Northern Ireland children.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And Mo Nolan was a real supporter of that. And whether that gave me a break, it sounds a bit cheap to say that you get a break from writing something so serious, but I think that those little things along the way made a difference.
Yes.
And I've never really been successful, but if you got up every morning hoping for that, well, you'd be lost.
I think Anthony is such a realist, and that's what I love about him, is that like you can be on television and then where was the thing you played? Was it some big festival or something? And then the next night you were playing in Wrexham.
Well, I met the T-shirt.
That's right. Yeah.
Albert Reynolds. It was the T-shirt, and we were doing a radio interview at GMR in Manchester, and we were just chatting away. And I went to the radio station having been told that there was me and somebody called Alfred on the show. I get there's all these security guards, 12 feet tall in black suits looking absolutely magnificent and not really human, And so there's me and Albert Reynolds, the T-shirt at the time, very, very important person. And he was interviewed, and then I'd play a number, and he was interviewed, and it was a nice occasion for me. And he said, "And when's your next engagement, Anthony John?"
Engagement.
And the DJ, he interjected, and he said, "Oh, Mr. Reynolds, are you aware of Anthony John Clarke's work?" And he said the most beautiful, untrue thing. He's a politician, I suppose they're supposed to. He just went, "Oh, my wife has him on in the car all the time," which immediately took any responsibility for him to know anything about it.
Yeah, it's not me.
He says, "When's your next?" He said, "When's your next engagement?" I said, "Oh, it's in Wrexham." And he goes, "Tomorrow night." And he goes, "Is that one of the theatres down in Wrexham?" I said, "No." I said, "It's in the Nag's Head pub. It's in the room upstairs. It's a folk club." And he goes, "Oh, excellent." I said, "What about you?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm having dinner with Gorbachev and Thatcher."
Similar.
Yeah. So I put my coat on and I left.
But if you'd have come home all like depressed and it's like the fun, that's the variety of life, isn't it? You meet him, he's doing that, you go to the Nag's Head and have a nice night, and then, you know.
But I think that is what, when I've seen Anthony John, and I hope for the old movies as well, we sort of try to create an atmosphere in the room of when people have gone home afterwards, they feel better, They feel happier.
And you're real as well. I think I like
also,
real and feel good factor.
Yeah, and you do. I mean, your songs. I mean, you can look at, I've started before, like you can go to ballet or to opera and you go, "Oh God, that's great," and it's a thing that's great. But when you do your songs, the people are with you; they're part of it, and it's a different experience.
Yeah.
Don't you strive for them? But I think we have this thing where, if you see people who maybe don't have very much experience on stage, I think one of the flaws is that they talk to each other and not to the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you guys talk to each other, but you're also talking to the audience, and that's years of experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I always think that if we're watching an act and they're talking to each other, particularly away from the mic, that means they're nervous.
Yeah.
And I always say to them, I said, "Don't do that." I said, "Just come on to the mic. If you're saying something to the drummer," I said, "make sure the audience hear it as well."
Yeah,
you know,
make it funny.
This is what you guys do.
yeah. But it's just like little things you pick up, and there's great people who just go down to the local folk club once a week and they play 2 songs, and that's what they want to do. And I just feel I've been lucky in a way. I've been unlucky in some ways. There's some things I missed out on, but tomorrow's tomorrow, isn't it?
Dead right, and that's what this is all about. And we're going to wrap it up now because we can't have too long a chat because we've got a limited.
It's your electricity bill as well.
Exactly. But I hope we'll do it again sometime. What's this? Is there somebody else?
There's a couple of policemen outside.
Anyway, thank you.
It's for Julie, you're all right.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
Yeah,
thank you
nice
very
beer.
much,
You're very
Julia.
welcome.
Great
Don't
house.
press the button.
Yeah, can you press the button, please? Because it makes me look more professional as the host.
Say goodbye, boys.
Bye.